Close your eyes. Imagine you're lying in a small hut woven from dried reeds, nestled along the banks of the Nile River. The world around you is so still, it feels like the universe itself is holding its breath. Outside, the Egyptian sky hasn't yet stirred. Stars glimmer softly against the inky black, waiting for the first rays of sunlight to spill across the desert. There's no hum of traffic, no blaring alarm clock, no emails piling up, no tasks demanding your attention. Just the faint whisper of the breeze slipping through the gaps in the reed walls, carrying with it the delicate chirps of insects hidden in the riverbank grasses. You're resting on a simple mat woven from jute fibers, draped with a thin linen sheet that's been washed and rewashed until it feels as soft as a cloud. The gentle chill of the early morning Nile caresses you, like a soothing hand guiding you through each slow breath. Beyond the hut, the soft lapping of water reaches your ears, perhaps a fisherman preparing his nets for the day, or a wooden boat gliding quietly toward the morning market. You lie still, listening to the rhythm of your own breathing and tuning in to the murmurs of a world that's been sleeping for thousands of years. If you could live just one day in ancient Egypt, what would stay with you forever? The earthy scent of dew-soaked reeds at dawn, the taste of slightly charred bread torn by hand, or the dry, feather-light breeze that drifts silently over the massive stones guarding a pharaoh's tomb. Tonight, we're not just hearing history, we're stepping into it. Slowly, gently, one breath, one image, one scent, and then a full day in the heart of the desert, under the blazing gaze of the god Ra, beside the eternal flow of the Nile River. You shift slightly. The mat rustles beneath you, a familiar grounding sound. There's no plush pillow, no thick mattress, but somehow it doesn't bother you. Instead, there's a strange lightness to it all, a simplicity that feels like shedding the weight of the modern world. Deadlines, notifications, and endless to-do lists left behind in another reality. The first light of dawn creeps into the hut, tentative and soft. There are no curtains, just a lattice of woven branches, but the sunlight is kind. It doesn't assault your eyes like the glare of a city morning. Instead, it's a quiet greeting, an invitation to rise and join the rhythm of a world long gone. You open your eyes, and in that moment, you know you're somewhere time no longer exists, or at least not in the way you've always understood it. This is the New Kingdom, the zenith of ancient Egypt's power, circa 1550 to 1070 BCE, when pharaohs like Ramses II and Hatshepsut ruled, when pyramids and temples rose as immortal wonders, and when the Nile was the lifeblood sustaining an empire. You stand, stretching your body. Your joints pop softly, a reminder of your physical presence. Your bare feet touch the earthen floor, rough, slightly damp, as if the ground itself is waking alongside you. You step outside, leaving the cool shade of the reed hut behind. The world unfolds before you like a painting bathed in soft light. Sparse date palms cast long shadows across the pale golden earth. In the distance, a few other huts emerge from the morning mist. The first wisps of smoke rise from village hearths, blending with the scent of damp soil after a long night. You take a deep breath, letting the air fill your lungs. It's not the sterile cleanliness of an air-conditioned room. It smells of mud, reeds, burning wood, and something intangible, time itself. It's unlike anything you've ever breathed, and you know you'll never breathe it again. You walk toward the Nile, the river that is the heart of Egypt. It's more than water. It's mother, father, sustenance, grave, god, and destroyer. This morning, though, it's gentle. Its surface lies flat, a silver mirror reflecting the faint pink streaks of dawn. A young boy sits by the bank, holding a reed fishing rod, his head tilted as if listening to the river's secrets. Nearby, a woman washes linen, rhythmically pounding it against a stone, her movements steady and ceremonial. You kneel by the water's edge and dip your hands in. It's cold. The Nile isn't crystal clear like a mountain stream. It's cloudy with silt, carrying 1,000 years of stories, dreams, and souls. You splash your face, the droplets startling your senses awake, pulling you out of the haze of modern life. The cool water is a reminder you're alive here now. In the distance, from an ancient temple built of honey-colored sandstone, a low, steady sound echoes. Clack, clack, clack. It's not a bell or a chime, but the sound of metal striking stone, rhythmic as a heartbeat. It's the call of the sacred world, a signal that the day has begun. You close your eyes, stand still, and listen. The sound weaves you into the lives of those who lived millennia ago, who prayed, worked, and dreamed under this same sky. A day in the heart of ancient Egypt. There's something strange about ancient Egypt. Everything is carved in stone, from the names of gods to the deeds of pharaohs. Yet life here feels as light as a cloud. There's no rush of the 21st century, no packed schedules, no pressure to get things done. Each day isn't about racing against the clock, it's about existing, fully, deeply, meaningfully. You don't need to be a pharaoh to feel this. You just need to be human, breathing, eating, working, and waiting for the sun to set. In this moment, you realize you're living like a resident of Thebes or Memphis, the bustling cities of the New Kingdom. No smartphone, no wristwatch, no social media. Just sand, wind, wheat, and the sun, the god Ra, watching your every step. Imagine starting your day not because of an alarm, but because of the light. You walk not to track steps on a fitness app, but to feel the earth beneath your feet. You eat bread not to savor its flavor, but to know you're alive, strong enough to face the day. You gaze at the Nile not to snap a photo, but to understand where life itself begins. The details of daily life. After washing by the river, you return to the hut for breakfast. The meal is simple. A loaf of emmer wheat bread, baked over a clay oven, slightly charred and gritty with traces of sand from the grinding stones. You take a sip of beer, not the crisp, chilled kind, but a thick, cloudy brew, more like porridge, fermented from barley. It's not delicious, but it's safer than river water and packed with calories to fuel your labor. If you're lucky, there's a dried date or a slice of onion, a treat for a working person. After eating, you head to work. Over 90% of Egyptians are farmers, so you likely join them in the fields. Under the intensifying sun, you wield a wooden sickle, harvesting wheat or sowing seeds in the fertile soil nourished by the Nile's floods. The river isn't just water, it's salvation. Each year, its floods bring rich silt, turning the desert into farmland. You work alongside other farmers, exchanging smiles and glances that bridge the language barrier, forging a quiet sense of camaraderie. By midday, when the sun scorches the earth, you seek shade under a mud brick wall. There's no sunscreen, no wide-brimmed hat. You smear mud on your skin to shield it from the rays, a trick learned from the locals. You sip water from a clay jar, careful not to waste a drop, for water here is as precious as gold. In the afternoon, you might be summoned to work on a pharaoh's project, a temple or pyramid. You haul stones, mix mortar, or dig canals under the watchful eyes of overseers. The labor is grueling, but it's not meaningless. Each stone you set is part of an eternal legacy, a structure that will stand for millennia. You feel an unspoken bond with the workers around you, united in this monumental task, even in silence. Religion and the soul of Egypt. Throughout the day, you realize that religion isn't just a part of life in ancient Egypt, it is life. Every action, from planting seeds to laying stones, is tied to the gods. You hear people speak of Ra, the sun god who brings light and life, Hathor, the goddess of love and music, and Osiris, the god of death and rebirth. Before eating, you offer a small piece of bread to the sky, a gesture of gratitude. Before sleeping, you whisper a prayer to keep Set, the god of chaos, from disturbing your dreams. You also learn that Egyptians don't fear death. They prepare for it from the moment they're born, believing that after death, their soul will face judgment by Anubis. Your heart will be weighed on the scales of Ma'at, the goddess of truth. If it's lighter than her feather, you'll enter the field of reeds, an eternal paradise. If not, the monster Amit will devour your soul. This belief isn't frightening, it's comforting. It gives everyday purpose, knowing you're building not just for now, but for eternity. Sunset and a lingering dream. As the sun sets, you return to your hut, exhausted but at peace. Dinner is modest, perhaps a bowl of barley porridge with garlic and a piece of grilled fish if the fishermen were lucky. You sit by a small fire, listening to a neighbor's low, melodic song about a pharaoh's victories. The firelight dances on the faces around you, and you realize, despite the hardships, these people find joy in the simplest things. You lie back on your mat, pulling the linen sheet over you. The night breeze slips through the hut, carrying the scent of the desert and the river. You close your eyes, lulled by the gentle lapping of the Nile. In this moment, you're no longer a modern stranger. You're part of ancient Egypt, a person living slowly, deeply, fully. The end of a day and beyond. If you lived one day in ancient Egypt, you'd learn to wake with the light, walk to feel the earth, eat to give thanks for life, and gaze at the river to understand its origins. You'd see why, even after thousands of years, Egypt still captivates the modern imagination, not for its pyramids or gold, but for its profound connection to the land, the sky, and the self. Stay here, just for one night. We've lived a single day in ancient Egypt, and as the darkness falls, you can return to your world carrying memories of sand, wind, and the river. Or you can linger in this dream just a little longer to feel the pulse of an eternal civilization. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself in a small hut, its walls woven from sun-bleached reeds nestled along the banks of the Nile River. The air is hushed as if the world is holding its breath. Outside, the Egyptian sky lingers in darkness, stars twinkling like ancient spirits, waiting for dawn's first light to sweep across the desert. No traffic hums, no alarms blare, no notifications demand your attention. Only a faint breeze whispers through the reed walls, carrying the soft chirps of crickets and the rustle of river grasses. The silence feels alive, intimate, a reminder that you've slipped into a time far from your own. You lie on a woven jute mat, draped with a thin linen sheet, softened by years of washing. The cool morning air brushes your skin, guiding you through slow, steady breaths. Beyond the hut, the Nile murmurs, perhaps a fisherman's net splashes, or a boat glide toward the market. The sound is gentle, eternal, like the pulse of a civilization that has thrived for millennia. You rest, listening to your own breathing, and sensing the echoes of a world asleep for thousands of years. This is ancient Egypt, not a textbook chapter, but a vivid dream where every grain of sand, every ripple, tells a story. If you lived just one day here, what would stay with you? The earthy scent of dew-soaked reeds, the gritty taste of hand-torn bread, or the fleeting breeze drifting over the stones of a pharaoh's tomb? Tonight, we're not just exploring history, we're living it, slowly, softly, one breath, one moment, one sensation. And then a day unfolds in the desert under the blazing sun god Ra, beside the endless Nile. You stir, the mat rustles beneath you, a familiar grounding sound. There's no soft pillow or thick mattress, but the simplicity feels freeing, as if modern burdens, emails, deadlines, noise have vanished into another world. Dawn's first rays slip into the hut, gentle and unintrusive. No curtains block them, just woven reeds, but the light is kind, a quiet call to rise and join a world that moves with the sun. You open your eyes. In that moment, you're in a place where time feels different. This is the New Kingdom, ancient Egypt's golden age, when pharaohs like Ramses II ruled. Temples rose as eternal monuments, and the Nile sustained an empire. You stand, stretching. Your joints creak softly, grounding you in your body. Your bare feet touch the earthen floor, cool, slightly damp, waking with you. You step outside, leaving the hut's shade behind. The world opens like a painting. Date palms cast long shadows across golden sand. Other huts shimmer in the morning mist. Smoke curls from village fires, blending with the scent of wet earth. You breathe deeply. The air isn't sterile. It smells of mud, reeds, burning wood, and something ancient. Time itself, a fragrance you'll never forget. You walk to the Nile, the river that is Egypt's heart. Its mother, sustenance, god, and destroyer. Today, it's calm. Its surface, a silver mirror reflecting dawn's soft hues. A boy sits by the bank, fishing with a reed rod. his gaze lost in the water. Nearby, a woman washes linen, pounding it against a stone in a rhythmic ritual. You kneel and dip your hands in the river. It's cold, thick with silt, carrying centuries of stories and souls. You splash your face, the chill snapping your senses awake, pulling you from modern distractions. This is real. You're here, now. From a sandstone temple glowing in the early light, a steady sound drifts. Clack, clack. Metal strikes stone, rhythmic as a heartbeat. It's the sacred world stirring, signaling the day's start, tying you to those who lived here millennia ago. You close your eyes and listen, feeling the connection across time. A day in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt is a paradox. Its legacy is carved in stone, yet life here feels light as a breeze. There's no modern rush, no packed schedules, no need to achieve. Each day is about existing, fully, deeply, in tune with the river, sun, and seasons. You don't need to be a pharaoh to feel this. Just be human, breathing, eating, working, waiting for dusk. You're a resident of Thebes or Memphis, cities alive in the new kingdom. No phone buzzes, no clock ticks, only sand, wind, wheat, and Ra's watchful gaze. Imagine waking not to an alarm, but to dawn's light. Walking not for exercise, but to feel the earth. Eating not for taste, but to fuel life. Gazing at the Nile not for photos, but to understand its power. Daily life unfolded. After washing by the river, you return to the hut for breakfast. It's simple. A loaf of emmer wheat bread, baked in a clay oven, slightly charred and gritty with sand from the grinding stones. You sip barley beer, thick, cloudy, more like porridge than a drink. It's not tasty, but it's safer than water and gives energy. If lucky, you have a dried date or onion slice, a treat for a laborer. Then work begins. Most Egyptians are farmers, so you head to the fields. Under a fierce sun, you wield a wooden sickle, harvesting wheat or sowing seeds in soil enriched by the Nile's floods. The river is a miracle, its annual silt turning desert into farmland. You work with others, their smiles bridging language gaps, forging a quiet bond. By noon, the heat is brutal. You find shade under a mud brick wall, smearing mud on your skin to block the sun. No sunscreen here. You sip water from a clay jar, careful not to waste a drop in this arid land. In the afternoon, you might join a pharaoh's project, a temple or pyramid. You haul stones or dig canals under overseers' watchful eyes. The labor is grueling but meaningful. Each stone is part of an eternal legacy, a structure to stand for millennia. You feel united with your fellow workers, sharing a silent purpose. The Sacred Heart of Egypt religion isn't just part of life here, it's everything. Every task, from planting to building, honors the gods. You hear of Ra, the sun god, Hathor, goddess of joy, and Osiris, lord of rebirth. Before eating, you offer a bit of bread to the sky. At night, you pray to keep Set, god of chaos, from your dreams. Egyptians don't fear death, they plan for it. They believe their soul will face Anubis's judgment, their heart weighed against Ma'at's feather of truth. If light, they'll enter the field of reeds, an eternal paradise. If heavy, Ammit devours them. This belief isn't daunting, it's comforting, giving each day purpose, building for eternity, dusk and a lasting dream. As the sun sets, you return to your hut, tired but content. Dinner is modest, barley stew with garlic, maybe grilled fish if the catch was good. You sit by a small fire, listening to a neighbor's song about pharaohs and gods. Firelight dances on faces, revealing joy in simple moments despite the toil. You lie on your mat, pulling the linen sheet over you. The night breeze carries the scent of desert and river, the Nile's lapping a soft lullaby. You're no longer a modern stranger, you're part of ancient Egypt, living slowly, fully, a day's end and more. If you lived one day in ancient Egypt, you'd learn to rise with the light, walk to feel the earth, eat to give thanks, and see the river as life's source. You'd understand why Egypt still captivates, not for pyramids or gold, but for its deep tie to land, sky, and spirit. Stay here for one night. We've lived a day in ancient Egypt. As night falls, you can return to your world carrying memories of sand, wind, and water, or linger in this dream, feeling the pulse of a civilization that endures.
Morning in ancient Egypt, breakfast and the sounds of dawn. You sit up slowly, so slowly. The straw mat beneath you brushes against your skin, leaving faint, itchy traces, as if you spent the night wrapped in the embrace of a field of reeds. The thin linen sheet that covered you has slipped to one side, now tangled in a gentle coil around your feet. It doesn't truly keep you warm or shield you from the elements. It's more like a delicate veil, a symbolic barrier between you and the vast desert world outside, offering just a whisper of protection. The hut is still cloaked in dimness, but slivers of dawn begin to seep through the gaps in the woven reed walls. Each ray of light is a golden thread, stitching the moments of time together. From a distance, you hear faint footsteps, soft, deliberate, the sound of bare feet pressing into dry earth, mingled with the subtle clink of a clay jar brushing against the hip of someone carrying water. Another morning in ancient Egypt begins. There's no mirror, no hot water for washing. By the door, a small clay bowl holds a few precious sips of water left from yesterday. You scoop a handful, letting it glide over your face, then rub it across your neck and shoulders. The cool liquid jolts you awake, not with urgency, but with a patient, ancient touch, as if the world itself is gently coaxing you into the day. Outside, the murmur of life grows. It's not loud or hurried, just the quiet exchange of neighbors' voices, the rhythmic grind of a hand-turned millstone crushing grain, and the faint crackle of dry wood in an earthen hearth. These sounds, simple and unadorned, carry the steady pulse of a world without clocks or digital calendars, where the sun alone dictates time. You step outside, no shoes. The earth beneath your feet is warming but not yet scorching. You know you have about 2 hours before the sun becomes relentless. So you make your way to the open-air kitchen, where an older woman sits on a flat stone, her hands deftly shaping lumps of dough into round, flat loaves. Breakfast in ancient Egypt offers no coffee, no cereal bowls. Instead, there's bread made from emmer wheat, an ancient grain with small, tough kernels, ground by stone, kneaded with water, shaped by hand, and baked in a clay oven. The woman hands you a steaming loaf, its surface flecked with faint char marks. The scent of freshly baked bread mingles with the light smokiness of burning wood, creating a fragrance both familiar and distant, like a memory from a time you never lived. You sit beside her, tearing off a small piece of bread and chewing slowly. It's dense, chewy, and laced with tiny grits, bits of stone from the mill, and unavoidable mineral seasoning. The flavor is plain, almost bland, but in your hunger, it's divine. Here, food isn't about indulgence, it's about survival, a quiet pact with the earth to keep going. If you're lucky today, there's a small clay bowl with a few dried dates, dark, sticky, intensely sweet. Harvested from tall palms and sun-dried, they're stored in earthen jars, each one a burst of energy for the day's labor. You savor a single date, letting its sweetness linger, a small gift in a world of simplicity. Nearby sits a small jug filled with a cloudy, golden liquid. Not tea, not juice, but beer, a fermented barley brew, unfiltered, warm, and thick, almost like a grainy soup. Its taste is tart, with a faint sweet aftertaste, reminiscent of forgotten rice left to ferment. In ancient Egypt, beer is a staple, not just for its flavor, but because it's safer than river water and provides calories for grueling work. You take a cautious sip, the strange flavor grounding you in this ancient rhythm. You glance around. Children play at the village's edge, wielding dry branches as pretend swords, chasing each other around a tree. A young man checks the ropes securing water jars, preparing to fetch more from the river. Every movement is deliberate, unhurried. Life here unfolds slowly because the sky moves slowly. The sun rises gradually, the breeze drifts lazily, and existence flows like the calm, steady Nile. In the distance, a soft drumbeat echoes from the direction of the temple. It's not a festival call, but a morning ritual signaling the start of sacred rites. You notice a few elders turning toward the rising sun, hands clasped, lips murmuring prayers. You don't need to be a priest to speak to the gods, only a sincere heart. You finish your bread, take another sip of beer, and stand feeling your body fully awake. Not awake for a meeting or to check emails, but awake for a long day ahead, a day of sun, sand, and wind, of raw, meaningful living. You return to the hut, grabbing a clay water jug and a thin linen shawl. Then you set out along a dirt path toward the fields. You're not heading to an office. You're going to sow seeds. No car is needed, just your feet and the shade of a tree to rest under when the heat grows fierce. As you leave the village, the sun climbs higher, no longer soft but sharp, its rays beaming down like the gaze of Ra, watching your every barefoot step on the sandy earth. You're ready for a day of harsh sunlight, a day in ancient Egypt where, despite the lack of comforts, every moment, from the gritty bread to the sour beer, from the dawn's light through the reeds to the distant drum, is a poetic thread in the tapestry of life. And this journey is only beginning, a deeper dive into the morning. This is the new kingdom, the zenith of ancient Egypt's power, when pharaohs like Hatshepsut and Ramses II reigned, and the Nile sustained a thriving empire. You're in a small village, perhaps near Thebes, where life revolves around the river's cycles. The morning is a sacred time, a moment when the world feels reborn under Ra's light. As you eat, you notice the care in the woman's hands as she shapes the dough. Baking isn't just a task, it's a ritual, a way to honor the grain that the Nile's floods make possible. The bread, though simple, is a link to the land, a reminder of the labor that turns dust into sustenance. The beer, too, carries meaning. It's brewed in every household, a craft passed down through generations. Its thickness fills your stomach, its slight fermentation a safeguard against the Nile's impurities. You realize this isn't just a drink, it's a lifeline, a practical choice in a world where clean water is scarce. The sounds around you weave a subtle symphony. The grind of the millstone is a low, steady hum like the village's heartbeat. The children's laughter rings out, bright and free, untouched by the weight of labor that awaits them in adulthood. The crackle of the fire adds a warm, rhythmic undertone, while the distant drum from the temple anchors it all in the divine. You watch the villagers move with purpose, each task part of a larger harmony. The man fetching water, the woman baking, the elders praying. They're not just surviving, they're participating in a cycle as old as the pyramids. You feel it too, sitting here with your bread and beer. You're not just eating, you're joining a tradition, a way of life that has endured for centuries. The spiritual pulse of the morning religion is the undercurrent of everything here. The drumbeat from the temple isn't just a sound, it's a call to align with the gods. You see it in the elders' prayers, in the way the woman offers a pinch of dough to the sky before baking. Every act is an offering, a nod to Ra, Hathor, or Osiris, whose presence is felt in the sun, the river, the harvest. You learn that Egyptians live for both this world and the next. They believe their soul will face judgment, their heart weighed against Ma'at's feather. A life of truth leads to the field of reeds. A life of deceit ends in oblivion. This belief shapes the morning's quiet reverence, giving even the act of eating a deeper purpose. Stepping into the day. As you leave for the fields, the village fades behind you, but its sounds linger, the grind, the laughter, the drum. The sun is now a commanding presence, its heat a reminder of Ra's power. You carry your water jug and shawl, ready to work under the desert sky. This morning has been more than a meal. It's been a ritual, a moment of connection to a world where every bite, every sound, every step is sacred. You're not just a visitor, you're part of ancient Egypt, living its rhythms, tasting its simplicity, feeling its timeless pulse. The day stretches ahead, full of labor and light, but you carry the morning with you. The bread's grit, the beer's tang, the drum's echo, a reminder that life here is both fleeting and eternal. Morning in ancient Egypt, the ritual of breakfast. You ease yourself onto a smooth, sun-warmed stone, its surface worn soft by the touch of countless mornings like this one, polished by the relentless passage of time and the desert's unyielding heat. The stone feels grounding, as if it holds the memory of every soul who has paused here to greet the day. Before you, on a broad, clean palm leaf washed by the Nile's waters, rests a small, round loaf of coarse bread. No fine china, no linen napkins, no clatter of silverware. Only the faint whisper of a breeze weaving through the village's reed-thatched roofs and the golden glow of dawn slanting across the sandy earth. You lift the loaf, feeling its weight in your hands. The crust is rough, almost abrasive, like the weathered stones carved for a pharaoh's tomb. Beneath it, the bread is dense, a deep, earthy brown, infused with the taste of the land, the labor of the harvest, and a trace of sand. Yes, sand. Tiny, gritty grains that slipped into the dough when the miller ground the emmer wheat between two heavy stones. No sieve could catch them all. They stayed, baked into the loaf in small clay ovens, becoming an inseparable part of your breakfast. Each bite carries the desert itself, a reminder of where you are. You chew slowly, deliberately. The sound is a low, rhythmic crunch like a distant drumbeat echoing on stone. The bread is tough, unyielding, but profoundly real, as if you're not just eating, but consuming the very essence of this ancient world, its soil, its time, its enduring spirit. You sit by the stone, the humble loaf cradled on a leaf, each crisp, gritty bite a step through the corridors of time. No butter softens the bread, no honey sweetens it, no jam or steaming coffee graces this meal. But there's one other thing, a warm cup of barley beer. You raise the clay cup, its surface cool and smooth against your palm. A faint sourness rises from the liquid within, the scent of fermentation mingling with the earthy aroma of grain. This beer bears no resemblance to modern brews. It doesn't fizz or sparkle. It's thick, almost like a grainy broth, flecked with bits of barley husk and unfiltered yeast. You take a cautious sip, and the tartness floods your mouth, sharp and bold, followed by a subtle bitterness from under-roasted grains. Your body embraces it. After a night on a straw mat with no mattress or pillow in the quiet hunger of dawn, this beer is a blessing. It stirs you awake, not with the jolt of caffeine, but with its honest, primal presence. It's the safest drink you have in a world where the Nile, though sacred, carries unseen dangers. Beer, with its fermentation and heat, is the ancient Egyptians' shield against illnesses they couldn't name, a practical alchemy born of necessity. Nearby, an older woman shares the morning meal. She sits cross-legged beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient fig tree, her weathered face softened by a gentle nod of greeting. In her woven reed basket lie a few slices of dried onion and a small pile of dates, treasured treats in this world of scarcity. She offers you a date, its dark, wrinkled skin glistening with a faint sheen. You bite into it, and a burst of honeyed sweetness spreads across your tongue, softening the beer's bite and the bread's grit. The flavor is intense, a concentrated gift from the sun and the palms, a moment of luxury in a life of simplicity. Everything here is modest, unassuming, yet each small act, the breaking of bread, the sip of beer, the sharing of a date, touches something deep within you, a quiet chord of connection to this place and its people. Above, the sun climbs higher, its rays piercing the morning mist. Your shadow on the ground grows shorter, sharper. The early breeze, once cool and playful, begins to fade. The air thickens, heavy with the desert's awakening, as if the sands themselves are stirring, exhaling warmth across the village. A few lean dogs scamper through the dust, chasing the laughter of children playing near a cluster of huts. Beside you, a man tends a small charcoal fire. The scent of burning acacia wood fills the air, rich and fragrant, with curls of smoke spiraling upward. On the fire sits a clay pot, its contents simmering, a thick, golden porridge infused with the sharp tang of dried garlic and the mellow sweetness of roasted onions. You're handed a portion, served not in fine ceramics, but in a hollowed gourd shell, its surface smooth from years of use. You cradle it in both hands, blowing gently to cool the steaming mixture before taking a sip. It's warm, hearty, salty, a taste that seems to carry the very breath of this land, the labor of its people, the resilience of their lives. And you realize each mouthful holds a trace of the pyramid's dust, a whisper of the simple, enduring life that thrives here. In the distance, a voice calls from the riverbank. A young woman returns, balancing water jars on her shoulders. Her silhouette moves through the sunlight, each step steady, practiced, as if she's walked this path 1,000 times. There's no rush, no urgency. Her pace mirrors the rhythm of the Nile itself, calm, eternal. Here time doesn't press. Breakfast is brief but unhurried, a sacred pause to reconnect with yourself, the earth, the water, the first light of day. It's a moment to breathe, to feel the weight of the bread in your hand, the warmth of the gourd in your palms, the quiet presence of those around you. You look at the last piece of bread. Its crust has softened slightly in the morning's damp air. You break it in half, offering a piece to a scrawny dog sitting patiently nearby. It lifts its head, eyes soft and trusting, accepting the gift without a sound. You smile, a private, fleeting smile that feels more meaningful because no one else sees it. If you observe closely, you'll notice the ancient Egyptians eat with their hands. No forks, no delicate spoons, no napkins, just rough, calloused palms and fingers, handling each bite with a quiet reverence for the bread, the beer, the shared meal. There's no waste, no pretense. No one grumbles that the food is too plain. No one envies another's portion. Because here, a single loaf might be the reward for a day's toil, a symbol of survival earned through sweat and sun. You turn toward the east, where the sun now clears the low palms. The ground begins to shimmer, the air warming with each passing moment. In the radiant glow of this ancient dawn, you realize you're not just eating to satisfy hunger. You're eating to affirm your existence, to feel the pulse of life in this fleeting moment. And in that stillness, you're no longer an outsider. You're part of Egypt, a person living truly, slowly, fully, in a simplicity that feels eternal. This is the new kingdom, the height of ancient Egypt's power, when pharaohs like Hatshepsut and Ramses II reigned and the Nile nourished a thriving empire. You're in a small village near Thebes, where life revolves around the river's cycles. Morning is a sacred time, a rebirth under the watchful eye of Ra, the sun god. As you eat, you notice the care in the woman's hands as she kneads the dough. Baking is more than a chore, it's a ritual, a way to honor the grain sustained by the Nile's annual floods. The bread, though coarse, is a bridge to the land, a testament to the labor that transforms desert into abundance. The beer carries its own significance. Brewed in every household, it's a craft honed over generations. Its thickness, a source of strength. Its fermentation, a safeguard against the river's hidden threats. This isn't just a beverage, it's a lifeline, a practical choice in a world where clean water is scarce. The sounds around you weave a gentle tapestry. The millstone's grind hums low, the village's heartbeat. Children's laughter rings out, bright and unburdened. The fire's crackle adds a warm rhythm, while a distant drum from the temple anchors it all in the divine, a reminder of the gods who oversee every moment. Villagers move with quiet purpose, each task part of a timeless cycle. The man tending the fire, the woman carrying water, the children chasing dogs. They're not just surviving, they're woven into a rhythm older than the pyramids. Sitting here with your bread and beer, you feel it too. You're not just eating, you're partaking in a tradition that has sustained this land for centuries. Religion infuses every act. The temple's drum isn't just sound, it's a call to align with the gods. You see it in the woman's offering of dough to the sky, in the elders' soft prayers. Each gesture honors Ra, Hathor, or Osiris, their presence felt in the sun's warmth, the river's flow, the harvest's yield. Egyptians live for both this life and the afterlife. They believe their soul will face judgment, their heart weighed against Ma'at's feather of truth. A life of honesty leads to the field of reeds. A life of deceit ends in oblivion. This belief lends the morning a quiet reverence, making even the act of eating a sacred offering. As you finish your meal, the village hums softly. The grind, the laughter, the drum. The sun now dominates, its heat a reminder of Ra's power. You gather your clay jug and linen shawl, ready to head to the fields. This morning wasn't just breakfast. It was a ritual, a moment of connection to a world where every bite, every sound is sacred. You carry it with you, The bread's grit, the beer's tang, the dog's quiet trust. A reminder that life here is both fleeting and eternal. The day stretches ahead, full of labor and light, but the morning's simplicity lingers, tying you to the timeless heart of ancient Egypt. A day of labor in ancient Egypt, fields and stone. The sun has risen high, not in a rush, not with harshness, but with a gentle grace, as if the god Ra is carefully laying ribbons of light across the earth. A golden veil, thin as mist, drapes the valley, brushing the tips of grasses, grazing bare shoulders, and spilling into the river like liquid honey. The morning breeze has slipped away. In its place, a heavier air settles, thick and warm like oil pooling on heated stone. You blink, and the sunlight glints, scattering flecks of gold across your vision, as if the desert sand itself dances in the air. You stand in the heart of a farm. Before you stretch a narrow field hugging the Nile's banks where the river's floodwaters have receded, leaving behind a rich layer of fertile silt. The earth is a deep, moist brown, soft and pliable, like skin after the first rain. This is where you, alongside countless others, begin a morning's work, not merely for survival, but as an inseparable rhythm of life. You grasp a wooden hoe. Its blade, carved from hard stone and bound with tough cord, isn't sharp like modern metal, but it's real, weighty, rough, an extension of the hands that have tilled this land for generations. It feels like a piece of the earth itself, familiar to those who've lived here all their lives. You move slowly, deliberately. Your bare feet sink into the wet soil. Your toes burrow into the soft mud. The sound of the hoe rises and falls. The earth yields. A steady, unhurried rhythm unfolds. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. Each sound is a pulse against the land, as if you're stirring a memory buried deep in its roots. Beside you, a tall, lean man works, his sun-darkened face calm, eyes half-closed as if dreaming through his task. He drags a wooden rake, carving shallow channels to guide water deeper into the field. Every few moments, a faint hiss rises as water seeps through the soil, a quiet song of life. Not far off, a young boy scatters seeds. He walks backward, his small hands tossing grains onto the wet furrows, singing a repetitive chant, soft and hoarse, like a whispered spell. You don't understand the words, but the melody wraps around you, soothing, grounding, a thread of peace in the labor. On the warm earth, shadows stretch long. Everyone works bare-backed, clad only in a thin linen cloth wrapped around the waist. The fabric offers no shield from the sun, like a sheer curtain hung across the vast desert, you muse. Sweat soaks it, binding it to skin like a second layer, glistening in the light. Droplets of sweat trace paths from your neck to your spine, from your shoulders to your waist, silent as water flowing over temple statues. Each step leaves a soft imprint in the damp soil, quickly filled by the creeping water. You work. No one urges you, no whistle blows, no overseer barks orders. Yet everyone knows, if you don't sow today, there'll be nothing to reap come harvest. Now the scene shifts. You're at a construction site, not a modern skyscraper, but a monument of stone, immense, unyielding, as eternal as the pyramids, as lofty as faith in the afterlife. Massive blocks of creamy limestone, quarried from distant cliffs, are hauled by ropes thicker than a man's wrist. You join dozens of others, hands gripping the coarse cords, feet braced on wooden sledges, pulling a stone the length of a coffin up a sand-lined ramp. Each step sinks into the sand. Each shout tightens the rope against your shoulder. Each inch the stone advances is a small triumph. A man stands nearby, wielding a long wooden mallet, striking the stone floor in a steady beat. Thud, thud, rest. Thud, thud, rest. It's a heartbeat, a drum rising from the earth's core. Sweat pours like a stream. Your arms ache, muscles trembling. Your wrists throb, numb from the rope's bite. Your fingertips sting, raw from the coarse fibers. Yet no one pauses. No one complains. Perhaps because if you stop, the man beside you bears more. Perhaps because you know, once raised, this stone will outlast your name, your life, your memory. Nearby, a group of masons chisel stone. One hand holds an iron chisel, the other a hammer. Striking precise points, dust flies. The sound is sharp, relentless, tap, tap, tap. Each strike carves a fragment of soul into the stone. Some etch patterns, lotus flowers, sacred scarabs. Others carve the faces of gods, Anubis, Horus. A few inscribe prayers, hieroglyphs that will speak for eternity. Each mark is repeated, hour after hour, day after day, year after year, a meditation in stone. In a shaded corner, an old man sits, eyes half closed, sharpening a chisel's edge. Sunlight catches his white hair, dusting it with the gleam of powdered stone, making him look like a silent priest, a keeper of ancient craft. You watch him and wonder, how many stones in this city bear the touch of his hands? The afternoon drifts on. The light shifts from blazing gold to a deeper honeyed hue. Shadows lengthen, the sand sparkles as if dusted with gold. Sounds soften. The chisels it taps grow sparse. The stones dragging slows. A sigh, yours or someone else's, rises into the air. No one speaks, but everyone hears it. As the sun begins to tilt, all know, another day nears its end. You lift your gaze. High above, wispy clouds drift across the unfinished tip of a stone pillar, like threads of linen caught in the wind. The breeze cools, drying the sweat on your skin, leaving faint white streaks of salt on your bronze shoulders. You slow your steps. Your hands release the rope, your shoulders unburdened. You stand on the dirt path leading back to the village, flanked by rows of date palms, their shadows stretching like bridges between labor and rest. You've lived a morning of work. No machines, no technology, no deadlines. Just the rhythm of breath, the cadence of hands, and the sunlight weaving golden threads across bare shoulders. The heart of labor. This is the new kingdom, ancient Egypt's zenith, when pharaohs like Ramses II and Hatshepsut reigned, and the Nile sustained a flourishing empire. You're in a village near Thebes, where life pulses with the river's cycles. Work isn't just a task. It's a sacred act, a dance with the land and the gods. In the fields, the hoe's rhythm is a prayer, each strike a plea for the harvest to come. The boys chant, the man's rake, the waters hiss. They're not just labor, they're a chorus, harmonizing with the Nile's eternal flow. The silt beneath your feet is more than soil, it's the river's gift, a miracle that turns desert into abundance. At the construction site, the stones are more than rock. They're offerings to eternity. Each pull of the rope, each chisel's tap, builds not just a monument, but a legacy. The old man sharpening his tool isn't just working. He's weaving his life into the stone, a silent vow to the gods and the afterlife. The sun, Ra himself, oversees it all. Its heat tests your strength, but its light binds you to the others, the farmers, the masons, the boy with his seeds. You're not alone in this labor. You're part of a tapestry, each thread a life, each knot a day's work. The sacred rhythm religion infuses every moment. The mallet's beat at the site echoes the temple's drums, a call to honor the gods. In the fields, the boys' chant invokes Hathor's blessings for the crops. At the site, the carved hieroglyphs speak to Osiris, ensuring the stones endure. Every act, sewing, pulling, chiseling, is a prayer, a step toward the afterlife, where the heart will be weighed against Ma'at's feather. Egyptians work for this life and the next, believing their labor shapes their eternal fate. This belief transforms the morning's toil into something sacred, a quiet offering to the divine order that governs all. Toward rest. As you walk back, the village comes into view, its huts glowing in the fading light. The day's labor lingers in your aching muscles, your raw hands, but also in a quiet pride. You've sown seeds that will feed, moved stones that will stand forever. This morning was more than work. It was a ritual, a connection to a world where every step, every sound is sacred. You carry it with you, the hoe's thud, the rope's pull, the old man's silent craft, a reminder that life here is both fleeting and everlasting. The evening awaits, soft and still, but the morning's rhythm echoes, tying you to the timeless heart of ancient Egypt. When the sun sets in ancient Egypt, the afternoon melts into the golden sands. The sun's fierce midday blaze has softened, now a tender touch, like a mother's hand brushing away the day's weight. Its final rays graze your hair, slip across your bare shoulders, and linger on the faded linen draped around you. Flecks of golden dust suspended in the air, dissolving with a single breath in the twilight's glow. The Egyptian sky at this hour holds a quiet, understated beauty. It's not a fiery crimson or blazing gold, but a delicate, silken light that seeps into the atmosphere, into the soul. Wispy clouds, fine as spun linen, drift lazily across the setting sun, casting a pale sheen over the desert, as if the heavens have scattered tiny grains of gold across the earth. You stand amidst the vastness, drawing a deep breath. The air carries the scent of sun-baked earth, a dry, vital aroma, pulsing with the warmth of a day well lived. In the distance, the Nile flows silently, a silver ribbon weaving through millennia, its surface untroubled, its presence eternal. On the dirt path winding back to the village, small groups of people begin their slow return. There's no rush. Footsteps shuffle softly, blending with the faint scrape of sandals on sand and the low hum of murmured conversations. The rhythm is unhurried, deliberate, as if the world itself is exhaling after a long day. You walk among them, part of the gentle stream. Over your shoulder, a woven basket sways, holding the day's simple tools: a wooden chisel, a coil of tough cord, a scrap of unfinished linen. Your tunic is streaked with faint, white lines of dried sweat, etched like delicate patterns across the fabric. Yet what you feel isn't exhaustion, but an ancient serenity, a peace not born of idleness, but of living a day fully, purposefully, in harmony with the land. You pass a mud brick house, its walls glowing faintly in the fading light. From within, the giggles of children spill out, light and carefree. A young boy chases a wooden hoop, nudging it along with a reed, his laughter bright and unguarded. Across the path, a girl kneels, arranging small stones into a triangular shape, perhaps a miniature pyramid crafted in her mind's eye. Their laughter, soft and unassuming, carries far in the stillness of the evening. It tugs at your heart, stirring memories of a childhood forgotten in the rush of the modern world, a simplicity you hadn't realized you missed. Smoke rises from village hearths, curling upward in gentle spirals. It doesn't sting the eyes, but carries the warm, savory scent of stews simmering over open fires. Some families add onions, their sharp tang cutting through the air. Others toss in fragrant herbs or slivers of dried fish from the morning's catch. The aromas mingle with the smells of earth, ash, and a faint evening breeze, weaving a quiet symphony of daily life, a fragrance that feels like home. You pause at your hut. Its door, a rough cloth panel tied with rope, sways gently in the wind. Inside, the last rays of sunlight slip through gaps in the reed walls, painting the earthen floor with long, interwoven streaks, like a tapestry spun from light itself. You settle by a small fire, its flames flickering in a shallow pit. A clay pot balanced on 3 stones simmers softly, its contents bubbling with a faint, comforting rhythm. You don't rush to lift the lid. Instead, you sit in stillness, watching the fire dance, listening to its soft crackle, feeling its warmth spread from your feet to your chest, easing the day's lingering aches. Sometimes this moment, fire, silence, warmth, is enough for an evening. You pour water into a clay cup, its surface cool against your palm. You blow gently and take a sip. No aromatic tea, no sugar sweetness. Just boiled water, cooled to a gentle warmth, yet it tastes pure, almost sweet in its simplicity. Here, everything is slow, unadorned, and deeply fulfilling. The sky deepens to a rich indigo. Stars emerge, one by one, glinting like the jeweled adornments of Nut, the goddess of the night sky. You tilt your head back, searching for constellations the ancient Egyptians revered. Orion, Sothis, perhaps the celestial paths of pharaohs journeying through the heavens. Each star feels like a fragment of eternity, a silent story whispered across the ages. A breeze stirs, soft and warm, lifting the edge of your linen shawl. You tug it back, as if anchoring a fleeting dream to this moment. Then, from a nearby hut, an old man's voice rises, low and resonant, like a small drum or water rippling over smooth stone. Long ago, on a distant night, a boy dreamed he was summoned by Ra to ride his chariot of light. He soared over pyramids, through stone gates, and stood before a temple where every prayer was etched in beams of radiance. You don't hear the full tale, but it doesn't matter. The cadence of his voice, steady and warm, is enough to cradle your heart, to lull it into a quiet peace at this sacred hour. You've worked through a long day, sowing seeds in the Nile's fertile silt, hauling stones for a monument that will stand for millennia. Your hands are calloused, your muscles sore, yet there's a quiet pride in knowing you've contributed to something greater than yourself. And now, as darkness gathers, you might tell a story of your own. You may not be a master storyteller. Your tale needs no mythical beasts or grand sorcery. It could be about barefoot steps through fields of wheat, leaving soft imprints in the mud, the steady tap of a chisel echoing like the heartbeat of centuries, a breakfast flecked with desert sand, gritty yet sustaining, the slow trickle of sweat down the back of a water carrier glinting in the sun. And this moment, sitting by a humble fire in a civilization that has slumbered for thousands of years. As the last light fades, the world slips into darkness, not a cold, foreboding void, but a soft, enveloping blanket, drawing you into its embrace like the arms of a night deity, gentle and eternal. You lie on your familiar straw mat, hands tucked beneath your head. The thin linen sheet rests lightly across your chest. The breeze hums through the hut's walls, mingling with the distant chirps of crickets, an ancient lullaby woven into the night. You don't need to dream to return here. You're already living the dream, breathing the air of a world that feels both fleeting and timeless. The evening's quiet majesty. This is the new kingdom, the pinnacle of ancient Egypt's glory, when pharaohs like Ramses II and Hatshepsut reigned, and the Nile nourished a thriving empire. You're in a modest village near Thebes, where life flows with the river's steady rhythm. Sunset is more than a time of day. It's a sacred pause, a moment to reflect on the labor, the community, and the eternal cycles that define existence. The villagers' unhurried steps echo the Nile's calm flow. Their soft chatter, the children's laughter, the fire's crackle, they're not mere sounds, but threads in a tapestry of belonging, woven across generations. The smoke rising from hearths carries the essence of home, onions, herbs, fish, blending into a fragrance that speaks of care, of continuity, of life sustained through shared effort. Your hut, simple and unadorned, is a sanctuary. The sunlight filtering through its walls is a fleeting gift, a reminder of Ra's presence even as he slips below the horizon. The fire's glow, the pot's gentle simmer, the water's subtle sweetness. They anchor you in the present, in the profound simplicity of this moment. The old man's story is more than a tale. It's a ritual, a bridge to the past, keeping gods and ancestors alive in the collective memory. His voice, steady as the river, binds the village together, a reminder that stories are as vital as food or shelter, nourishing the soul in ways the body cannot. The sacred stillness religion weaves through this hour. The stars are not just lights, they're nut's embrace, the celestial paths of gods and kings. The breeze carries unspoken prayers, to Hathor for joy, to Osiris for rebirth. The day's labor, whether sowing seeds or shaping stone, was an offering, a step toward the afterlife, where the heart will be weighed against Ma'at's feather of truth. This belief transforms the evening's quiet into a sacred space, a moment to honor the divine order that governs all things. Egyptians live with one foot in this world, one in the next. The sunset is not an end, but a transition, a promise of rest, renewal, and preparation for the eternal journey that awaits. Your day began with dawn's first light, unfolded through the rhythm of work, and now rests here, bathed in the fire's soft glow. The labor lingers in your aching muscles, your roughened hands, but also in a quiet pride. You've sown seeds that will feed, shaped stones that will endure. This evening is more than rest. It's a communion, a moment to feel the pulse of a civilization that thrives in its simplicity. You carry it with you, the children's laughter, the fire's warmth, the old man's voice, a reminder that life here is both fleeting and everlasting. As you close your eyes, the Nile's murmur lulls you, the stars stand watch, the village sleeps, and you drift into the embrace of an ancient dream, one that will linger long after you return to your own time. The world of the gods in ancient Egypt. Night in ancient Egypt is not merely a time for rest, it's when the gods awaken. You lie still on a straw mat, your breath slow and steady, echoing like a distant drumbeat carried across the desert. Outside your humble hut, darkness cloaks the land in deep indigo, silent and profound, like the sleeping Nile. Then you hear something, a faint clink, like stone striking stone, a low rhythmic pulse, ancient and unyielding. You sit up. Before you, a narrow dirt path stretches toward the temple. No electric lights guide your way, only the flickering glow of oil lamps, their flames twinkling like stray stars in the shimmering night. The Egyptian sky brims with constellations, but where you're headed belongs not to mortals. It's the realm of the divine. Move slowly. Your bare feet tread on soft sand, then crunch over scattered pebbles. Each sound rings clear in the quiet night, as if the earth itself is listening, attentive to your steps. In the distance, the temple emerges under moonlight. Towering stone gates adorned with carvings of the god Horus, his falcon wings spread wide, guarding the sacred space from the encroaching dark. On each massive column, ancient hieroglyphs, etched thousands of years ago, whisper eternal secrets, their voices never silenced. You reach out, your fingers brushing the cold stone wall. It feels like touching the memory of an entire civilization, a pulse preserved in rock. Stepping through the gate, the air shifts. It grows heavier, denser, as if you've crossed into another world. The scent of incense fills the space, rich yet gentle, like smoke curling around an unspoken mystery. Beneath your feet, the stone floor is cool as water, while the temple's ceiling soars so high it vanishes into shadow. Each step echoes, your own footfalls reverberating, as if you're in conversation with the spirits of antiquity. Ahead lies the Great Hall, home to the statues of the gods. You pause and look up. A colossal statue looms. Ra, the sun god, his falcon head crowned with a blazing solar disk. His eyes, though carved from stone, hold an otherworldly power, locking your gaze in a timeless embrace. You feel no fear, only awe, as if witnessing something beyond the bounds of time. Beside him stands Thoth, majestic and serene, his ibis head bent slightly, clutching a scroll and reed pen, as if recording the universe's every thought. Thoth, god of wisdom, history, and justice, is believed to note every oath, every deed, every dream of humankind, ensuring nothing is forgotten when the day of judgment arrives. You move forward and meet Bastet, the cat-headed goddess. Smaller than Ra or Thoth, she radiates a soft, protective warmth. Bastet, guardian of families, women, motherhood, and music, is where villagers come to pray for their children's safety, their home's peace, and dreams free of nightmares. In a quieter corner, Osiris appears, his green-skinned form draped in white, arms crossed, holding a scepter. The god of death, yet not fearsome. Osiris offers life beyond the grave, presiding over judgment and embodying the hope of rebirth. You settle near a small oil lamp. Its flame sways gently, golden and fragile as a dragonfly's wing, casting light on the temple's carved walls. Around you, others sit in silence, each holding something within. A plea, a thanks, or simply a desire for peace in the god's presence. The air feels alive, charged with unspoken reverence. You close your eyes, and you hear it, a faint, rhythmic tapping from the inner sanctum. Not a bell, not a voice, but metal striking stone, steady as the heartbeat of ancient Egypt itself. The sound weaves through the temple, grounding you in the sacred moment. You don't understand the ancient tongue of the priest's chant, but you feel its emotion. O Ra, shine your light upon our souls. O Thoth, record the good we've done today. O Bastet, bring peace to our sleep and dreams. The priest's voice, low and measured, is a lullaby from antiquity. You feel yourself drift, not your body, but your mind. You're floating through memories that aren't yours. The creak of wooden cartwheels rolling across the temple courtyard, the laughter of children bringing bread offerings to the gods, the soft hum of a mother singing to her child at Isis's feet. It's all gentle, like a slow-motion reel spun from silk. You open your eyes, and you realize this world isn't only for the dead. It's for the living, too. For the ancient Egyptians, the gods are not distant. They dwell in the sunlight, in the Nile's ripples, in the breeze brushing past a village home. There's no rigid divide between the sacred and the mundane. Every act, from threshing grain to washing hands, can be a ritual if done with reverence. You understand now, religion here isn't a doctrine. It's the air, the breath, an inseparable part of life's fabric. The priest lights another lamp. Its glow spreads like ripples on a still lake. You rise, bowing silently before the gods one last time. No words are needed. In ancient Egypt, silence itself is a form of prayer. You retrace your steps along the sandy path, each footfall lighter than before. You haven't just visited a temple. You've passed through a gateway between the mortal world and the eternal. Your small hut reappears in the darkness. You slip inside, lying gently on the familiar mat. The linen sheet wraps around you like a blessing from Bastet, a quiet wish for restful sleep. You close your eyes and whisper, just to yourself, we don't merely live, we're watched, protected, remembered, by gods who have never left this sky. This is the New Kingdom, ancient Egypt's golden era, when pharaohs like Hatshepsut and Ramses II ruled, and the Nile sustained a flourishing empire. You're in a village near Thebes, where life hums with the rhythm of the divine. Night is not just a time for sleep, it's a sacred threshold when the gods draw near, their presence felt in every shadow, every star. The temple, with its towering gates and ancient carvings, is more than a building, it's a portal to the eternal. The hieroglyphs aren't mere symbols, they're living prayers etched to endure beyond time. The incense, the cool stone, the echoing steps, they create a space where the mortal and divine converge, where every visitor feels the weight of a civilization's soul. Ra's statue, with its piercing gaze, embodies the sun's life-giving power, a reminder that each dawn is a gift. Thoth's quiet vigilance speaks to the importance of truth, his scroll a record of human striving. Bastet's gentle warmth offers comfort, a promise of protection in a world of uncertainty. Osiris, green and serene, holds the hope of rebirth, assuring that death is not an end but a beginning. The others in the temple, farmers, mothers, elders, are not here out of obligation. They come to connect, to offer their hearts, to find solace in the gods' enduring presence. Their silence is as powerful as the priest's chant, a shared reverence that binds the community. Religion in ancient Egypt is not a set of rules, it's a way of being. The gods are everywhere. In the Nile's flow, the sun's warmth, the stars' gleam. Every act, plowing a field, weaving a cloth, lighting a lamp, can be sacred if done with intention. The temple's tapping, the priest's chant, the flickering lamps, they're not just rituals. They're the pulse of a worldview where the divine and human are entwined. Egyptians live for this life and the next, believing their deeds are weighed in the afterlife. This belief infuses the night with meaning, transforming a visit to the temple into a communion with eternity, a moment to align with Ma'at's truth. As you leave the temple, the village lies quiet under the stars. The day's labor, sowing, building, living, fades into the night's embrace. The temple's glow lingers in your mind, a reminder of the gods who watch, who listen, who remember. Back in your hut, the mat is a familiar comfort, the linen a gentle shield. The night sounds, wind, crickets, the Nile's murmur, lull you towards sleep. You've walked among gods, felt their presence, and carried their quiet strength back with you. This night is more than rest, it's a connection to a world where every moment is sacred. You drift off, holding the temple's echoes, the gods' gaze, the certainty that you're part of something vast and eternal. Death and immortality in ancient Egypt. You've lived a full day under the ancient Egyptian sun. You woke to dawn's light filtering through reed walls, labored in fields and on stoneworks, savored coarse bread that whispered of time's passage, and sat in the solemn presence of gods within a temple's hallowed halls. Now, as night envelops the land, a question rises, soft as a feather drifting across the velvet sky. What awaits you beyond this world? When your time comes to leave it? For the ancient Egyptians, death is not an end, it's a doorway. A portal to a new journey, not rushed, not fearsome, not cold, but a quiet path, lit by the flicker of oil lamps, paved with prayers. You don't die, you simply slip into a long, sacred sleep. A divine dream, guided by the god Anubis, welcomed into a realm of immortality. When someone passes, the village falls still. No sirens wail, no piercing sobs break the air. Only the sounds of preparation, the soft hiss of water boiling to cleanse the body, the scrape of a stone knife honed on wood, the faint rustle of trembling hands wrapping linen, as if folding a life into eternity. Death, to the Egyptians, is a ritual, an art steeped in reverence. The departed is washed with Nile water, anointed with fragrant oils distilled from resin, cedar, myrrh, and crushed cinnamon. These essences purify the body, soothing the soul for its journey. Then begins the mummification, a process spanning 70 days. The embalmers are not mere craftsmen, they are priests, skilled in preserving the soul's vessel. They delicately remove the organs, liver, lungs, intestines, stomach, placing them in canopic jars, each capped with the likeness of a protective god. The heart, seat of emotion and morality, remains untouched. Unlike modern views, the brain holds little significance. It's often extracted and discarded. The heart, not the mind, cradles the soul. The body is then covered in natron, a sacred salt that draws out moisture and purifies. It's wrapped in dozens of linen layers, interwoven with amulets, spells, and blessings for the path ahead. Finally, a mask is placed over the face, often gold or painted in red and gold hues, crafted to reflect the idealized visage of the departed, their eternal face for the afterlife. This is no longer an ordinary person. This is a soul preparing to become an Ak, a radiant, immortal spirit. The funeral unfolds at dawn. A procession moves slowly across the hot sand, bearing the coffin, musical instruments, small statues, and provisions. They don't merely mourn, they recount the life of the deceased, praising their deeds, reciting poetry, and sometimes singing folk songs that evoke distant memories. The coffin is laid in a tomb, surrounded by personal belongings, a comb, a lucky charm, dried food, and shabti figurines, tiny servants to perform tasks in the afterlife. But before the soul can rest, a crucial ritual awaits, the judgment of Ma'at. Imagine, you stand in a vast hall, its ceiling touching the heavens, where 42 gods gaze upon you, not to condemn, but to listen. You must speak. I have not lied. I have not harmed another. I have not forgotten gratitude. A confession, not of perfection, but of sincerity. Then you're led to the sacred scale. Your heart, crimson, heavy with memories, is placed on one side. On the other rests the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth, justice, and order. If your heart is lighter than the feather, you're worthy of eternal life. If not, the beast Ammit, part crocodile, part leopard, part hippo, will devour your hippo. But fear not. If you've lived justly, if you've loved, if you've ever looked to the sky and thanked the sun, you'll pass. You'll step into the field of reeds, a realm where the finest dreams become reality. A world mirroring Egypt, but free of sickness, hunger, or sorrow. Endless fields of wheat sway under a gentle breeze. A serene river flows. The air is always cool. You'll reunite with loved ones lost. You'll sail with Ra across the eternal sun. You'll live forever in songs, carvings, and dreams. And then, you're back on your straw mat. Dawn has yet to break, but you no longer fear death. You know now, the final resting place of an Egyptian soul isn't a graveyard, but eternity. A state of peace, where you no longer toil in fields or haul stones, where the sun no longer scorches your bare back. Only a soft song remains, lulling you into immortality. We don't depart, we merely step through another door where light still shines and the Nile's breeze blows through an everlasting sleep. The eternal journey, this is the new kingdom, ancient Egypt's golden age, when pharaohs like Ramses II and Hatshepsut reigned, and the Nile sustained a vibrant empire. You're in a village near Thebes, where life and death are intertwined, each moment a step toward the divine. Night is a time of reflection, when thoughts turn to the afterlife and the gods who guide it. The village's stillness during a death is not mere grief, it's reverence. The sounds of preparation, boiling water, Sharpening knives, wrapping linen, are a sacred symphony, honoring the soul's transition. Every act, from washing to anointing, is a prayer, ensuring the departed is ready for their journey. Mummification is more than preservation, it's a transformation. The embalmers, with their precise rituals, bridge the mortal and divine, preparing the body to house an eternal spirit. The canopic jars, the natron, the amulets, they're not just tools, but symbols of care, of belief in a life beyond. The funeral procession is a celebration of memory. The songs, poems, and stories shared aren't just for mourning. They're a testament to a life well lived, a way to keep the departed spirit alive in the community's heart. The tomb, filled with personal treasures, is a home for the soul, a space where the mundane becomes eternal. The Judgment of Ma'at is the culmination of this belief. The vast hall, the watching gods, the sacred scale, they're not a trial, but a moment of truth. The confession is a reckoning, a chance to affirm a life of integrity. The feather, light yet profound, represents the balance that governs all existence. The field of reeds is not a distant paradise. It's an extension of Egypt, perfected. Its fields, rivers, and breezes are familiar yet free of pain. It's a place of reunion, of joy, where the soul finds its true home, sailing with Ra in an endless cycle of renewal. The sacred continuity religion in ancient Egypt is not a separate sphere. It's the essence of life. The gods are not remote. They're in the Nile's flow, the sun's warmth, the night's stars. Every act, farming, crafting, mourning, is sacred if done with intention. The rituals of death, from mummification to burial, are extensions of this belief, weaving the mortal into the divine. Egyptians live with eternity in mind. The afterlife is not a hope, but a certainty, shaped by the deeds of this life. The heart, weighed against Ma'at's feather, carries the sum of one's choices: love, honesty, gratitude. This belief infuses every moment with purpose, making even the simplest day a step toward immortality. A night's reflection. Your day in ancient Egypt, waking, working, eating, praying, has led to this quiet night. The temple's gods, the village's rhythms, the Nile's murmur, they've shown you a world where death is not a shadow, but a light-filled passage. You felt the gods' presence, the weight of their gaze, the promise of their protection. Back on your mat, the hut is a cocoon of calm. The linen sheet, the night's breeze, the cricket's song, they cradle you, echoing the field of reeds' serenity. You've walked through a day, a temple, a dream, and now you rest, knowing you're part of something vast, eternal. As you drift to sleep, the stars keep watch. The Nile hums softly, the gods linger, their presence a quiet assurance that life, death, and immortality are one unbroken thread, woven through the heart of ancient Egypt. The life of an Egyptian woman. You open your eyes after a brief midday nap, the air thick with the heat of an Egyptian afternoon. No alarm clock jolts you awake. No packed schedule looms, only slanted sunlight glows on the mud brick wall, and from a corner of the house comes a soft murmur, a woman working diligently, her hands busy, her heart brimming with quiet tenderness. She is a mother, a wife, the keeper of the hearth in this ancient Egyptian home. Today, you'll follow her steps, living a day in her world. Dawn breaks over the small village by the Nile. Before the sky fully lightens, she's already awake, not summoned by a call, but stirred by the rhythm of a life devoted to caring for others. She rises from a straw mat, draping a thin linen shawl over her shoulders, and steps out to the earthen courtyard where a stone mill still holds yesterday's warmth. With practiced hands, she pours emmer wheat into the mill. Her movements are steady, rhythmic. The grinding grains create a soft, gritty sound, a gentle greeting to the new day in the pre-dawn stillness. She's not alone. A young girl, perhaps her daughter, sits nearby, playing with stray flecks of flour. As the woman works, she tells stories of Isis, the goddess who taught humanity to farm, of Hathor, who brings laughter and life. Her voice is even, unhurried, like a breeze rustling through a field of reeds, soft yet resonant. From the fine flour, she shapes small flat loaves, simple, unadorned. She carries them to a round clay oven, fueled by palm fronds and dry straw. The scent of baking bread wafts through the air, warm and evocative, stirring memories of past harvests, of evenings spent with family. While the bread bakes, she returns indoors. One hand cradles a sleepy toddler, the other gathers threads of unfinished linen. She weaves. A modest loom leans against the wall. Threads dyed with turmeric, indigo, and wild rose weave through her fingers. Each pass of the shuttle tells a story. Each strip of cloth is a memory crafted by hand. This isn't just work, it's how she creates beauty for her home. A beauty that's gentle, feminine, enduring. Unlike many ancient cultures, Egyptian women held remarkable rights. They could own land, trade in markets, divorce if unhappy, and retain custody of their children. They could draft wills, argue in court, and sign legal documents. A wife wasn't confined to the kitchen's shadows. She managed finances, made household decisions, and held authority in her family. Born to wealth, a woman might read, write, serve as a scribe, or become a priestess, serving Hathor or Isis. Born to royalty, she could rule as pharaoh, like Hatshepsut. But most women, like the one you follow today, were farmers, weavers, homemakers. Ordinary yet extraordinary in their quiet strength. She wields no political power, but she holds sway in the heart of her family. She teaches her children their first prayers. She weaves the first cloth to wrap her husband in death. She's the storyteller, the lullaby singer, the one who softens hard bread, who keeps the home warm through the windy season. At noon, when the sun scorches the earth, she walks to the well to fetch water. She's not alone. Other women join her, their chatter filling the air. They share stories of home, village gossip, the harvest, and sometimes whispered dreams. Laughter rises, light but genuine, breaking the midday stillness. Each jar of water carried back is not just sustenance, but a thread in the fabric of community. Afternoon settles in. She gathers vegetables, lentils, onions, herbs. She simmers a pot of soup, fragrant with dill and garlic. If luck smiles, her husband brings home a small fish. She grills it over charcoal, seasoning it with salt and caraway seeds. Children cluster around the hearth. The scent of smoke weaves into their hair, their tunics. Someone taps a small clay drum, singing a short folk tune. No one checks the time. No one frets about tomorrow. They're immersed in the day's warmest moment, the family meal. She sits among her husband and children, spooning soup for her youngest daughter, wiping her son's face, brushing a gentle hand through her husband's hair, still dusty from the fields. Words are few. Peace is found in their togetherness, in the steaming meal, in the oil lamp's steady glow. Night falls. After the family sleeps, she lingers, not out of duty, but choice. By the faint light of an oil lamp, she examines a small amulet etched with Bastet's name, the cat goddess who protects women and homes. She whispers a prayer of gratitude, lights a stick of incense, and asks for peaceful sleep. She lies beside her youngest child, one arm cradling them, the other patting softly. Her voice rises, not loud, but like a breeze. Sleep, my child. The Nile is flowing. Night's breeze sways the palm trees high. I'm here, like gentle Isis, guarding your dreams beneath the sky. The lamp's flicker fades. Her lullaby softens. She closes her eyes. You step away from the small house, like a spirit gliding through the threshold. You've lived a day with an Egyptian woman. Not a queen, not a priestess, but an ordinary wife, mother, and homemaker, with a heart vast enough to nurture life itself. As you glance back, moonlight bathes the village. The breeze stirs, the sand lies still, and somewhere her lullaby echoes, a song carried across millennia. Sleep, child of Egypt. Night has come to the field of reeds. The world of an Egyptian woman. This is the New Kingdom, ancient Egypt's golden era, when pharaohs like Hatshepsut reigned and the Nile sustained a vibrant empire. You're in a village near Thebes, where women are the backbone of family and community, their lives a blend of labor, love, and quiet power. Her day begins before dawn, driven by instinct, not obligation. The grind of the millstone is more than a task. It's a ritual, a connection to the land and the gods. Her stories shared with her daughter aren't just tales, they're lessons, passing down the wisdom of Isis and Hathor, weaving the divine into daily life. Baking bread is an act of creation, its aroma a bridge to past seasons, to shared meals. Weaving is not just craft, it's art, each thread a memory, each cloth a testament to her care. Her hands, rough from work, shape beauty in the simplest forms. Egyptian women's rights set them apart. They held property, traded goods, and navigated legal systems with autonomy. As wives, they were partners, not subordinates, managing budgets and making choices. As mothers, they were teachers, instilling faith and resilience. In elite circles, they served as scribes or priestesses. In rare cases, they ruled as pharaohs. Yet most, like her, lived humbly, their influence felt in the home. Her prayers, her songs, her gentle touch, they shape her family's world, grounding it in love and tradition. The trip to the well is not just labor, it's community. The women's laughter, their shared stories, forge bonds stronger than the jars they carry. The meal she prepares is not just food, it's a gathering, a moment of warmth that transcends time. Her nighttime vigil, praying to Bastet, is a choice, a quiet act of devotion. Her lullaby, soft as the Nile's flow, is a gift, ensuring her children dream in peace. Religion is woven into her life. The gods, Isis, Hathor, Bastet, are not distant. They're in the bread she bakes, the water she carries, the songs she sings. Every task is a prayer, an offering to the divine order. Her faith in the afterlife, where Mot's feather awaits, gives her work meaning, knowing her love and labor echo into eternity. Egyptian women were vital to this spiritual fabric. As mothers, they taught devotion. As priestesses, they served the gods. As queens, they embodied divine will. Even in ordinary lives, they were sacred, their roles mirroring the nurturing power of the goddesses. Your day with her, from dawn's labor to night's lullaby, reveals a life of quiet strength. She's not defined by grandeur, but by the countless small acts that sustain her family, her village, her culture. Her hands weave, her voice soothes, her heart holds. As you leave, the moonlight lingers, the lullaby fades, but her presence endures. A testament to the women who shaped ancient Egypt, their lives a song carried through time, closing the dream of Egypt. You lie still. Gone is the blazing desert sun. Gone are the rhythmic taps of chisels on stone, the footsteps trudging through muddy fields beside the Nile. All that remains is a quiet space, soft as a dusting of gold, delicate as the linen shawl draped over your shoulders at dusk. Everything seems to recede like a dream dissolving just before you open your eyes. You've lived a full day in the ancient world, Egypt, the land of sand, gods, and timelessness. What do you feel in this moment? Perhaps exhaustion, as if you've returned from a long journey through towering tombs, barley fields, sandstone temples, and mud brick homes. Your muscles carry the weight of labor, your hands the memory of coarse bread, your heart the echo of a priest's chant. But beneath it all, there's something else, something deep, something true. It's as if a part of you, unspoken, undefined, has stirred awake. Light as a forgotten memory, yet solid as the cold Nile water you splashed on your face at dawn. You didn't just dream of ancient Egypt. You stepped into it. You have. Woken to the first light filtering through reed walls. The scent of baking bread wafting from a clay oven. Sat by a worn stone chewing gritty bread that crunched like pyramid rubble. Carried water, ground grain, tilled soil. Worked under golden sunlight glinting like threads on your shoulders. Returned at sunset, hearing children's laughter mingle with the steam of a simmering stew. Prayed silently before Bastet's statue, lighting a small oil lamp. Lulled a child to sleep with tales of Ra, Isis, and the field of reeds, where souls rest forever. One day, just one day. But in that day, you've lived enough to understand why Egypt's civilization still captivates us millennia later. It's not just the pyramids, not just the mummies, preserved with artistry that defies time. It's the feeling of slowing down, truly slowing. Each breath deliberate, each barefoot step on the earth intentional. Each handful of water a moment of presence. You felt what the ancients felt. They had no phones, no social media, no knowledge of the world beyond their river's banks, but they had something we often lose: connection. Connection to the earth, to the wind, to the river, to family, ancestors, gods, and most profoundly, to themselves. Now, you can close your eyes again. No need to imagine. The memory is yours now, tucked away like an ancient amulet beneath your pillow. Gentle, lingering, sacred. You've lived. One day, but an eternal one. And as you breathe slowly, letting yourself melt into the quiet night, know that the dream of Egypt remains within you, behind your closing eyelids, in the place where the bronze chime of an ancient temple still echoes across thousands of years. Perhaps you'll dream of stepping into a vast temple, its ceiling soaring, light spilling through stone crevices. You place your hand on a black statue of Thoth, feeling a silent current flow from the stone to your fingertips. Or you're on a boat, gliding down the Nile, gazing at a star-filled sky, moonlight silvering the fields where souls rest in peace. Whatever the dream, whether you recall it clearly or not, know that you've entered a world that was real. A world of people who lived, loved, labored, suffered, and hoped, just like you. A world where death is not an end, but a gateway to eternity. And now, as the final lullaby rises, let me whisper one small thing in your ear. Sleep well under Egypt's moon, where the gods still watch over your dreams. The heart of the dream. This is the new kingdom, ancient Egypt's golden age, when pharaohs like Hatshepsut and Ramses II reigned, and the Nile nourished a vibrant empire. You're in a village near Thebes, where every moment, waking, working, praying, is a thread in a tapestry of existence, woven with purpose and reverence. Your day began with dawn's gentle light, unfolded through the rhythm of labor, and rested in the glow of a family meal. You walked through fields, temples, and homes, each step a connection to a civilization that thrived on simplicity and faith. The bread you ate, the water you carried, the prayers you whispered, they weren't just acts, but rituals, binding you to the land and its people. Egypt's allure lies not in its monuments alone, but in its way of life. The villagers you joined had no modern distractions, yet their days were rich with meaning. They worked not for wealth, but for survival, for community, for the gods. They lived not for fleeting pleasures, but for eternity, believing each deed shaped their afterlife. The Nile, ever present, was more than a river. It was life itself, its waters sustaining fields, cleansing bodies, carrying prayers. The gods, Ra, Bastet, Thoth, were not distant. They were in the sun's warmth, the breeze's touch, the stars' glow. Every task, from grinding grain to lighting a lamp, was an offering, a step toward the field of reeds. This connection to nature, to others, to the divine, is what sets Egypt apart. You felt it in the weight of the hoe, the texture of bread, the silence of the temple. It's a reminder of what we've lost in our rush, the ability to live fully in each moment, to find sacredness in the ordinary. The eternal echoes. Your journey through this day was a pilgrimage, each moment a revelation. Waking to the scent of bread was a rebirth, a chance to greet the world anew. Working in the fields was a communion with the earth, each seed sown a promise of life. Eating with a family was a celebration, a reminder that love transcends time. Praying in the temple was a dialogue with eternity, a moment to feel the god's gaze. The Egyptians' view of death, so central to their culture, shaped their lives. They saw it not as loss, but as transformation, a journey guided by Anubis, judged by Ma'at, leading to a paradise of endless fields. This belief gave every act weight, knowing the heart's deeds would be weighed against truth's feather. You carried water with women who laughed despite their burdens, their voices a testament to resilience. You heard a mother's lullaby, her song a bridge to the divine. You stood before gods, their stone forms alive with presence. These moments, simple yet profound, are the heart of Egypt's enduring magic. A final lullaby. As you lie in the quiet, the day's memories settle like sand after a storm. The Nile's murmur, the temple's chant, the children's laughter, they linger, woven into your being. You've tasted Egypt's bread, felt its sun, heard its stories. You've lived as its people did, if only for a day. This dream is not fleeting. It's a seed planted in your heart, ready to bloom when you pause to remember. The pyramids may stand, the mummies may endure, but it's the human moments, the shared meals, the whispered prayers, the barefoot steps that truly keep Egypt alive. You're not just a visitor, you're a part of this world, connected to its people across millennia. Their hopes, their faith, their quiet strength, they echo in you. A reminder to live deliberately, to seek connection, to find the sacred in the everyday. The night is deep now, the stars bright above. The hut cradles you, its walls whispering of countless lives. The linen sheet, the crickets hum, the distant Nile, they lull you, a gentle invitation to rest. You don't need to hold the dream tightly. It's yours, etched like hieroglyphs in your soul. Whether you dream of temples or rivers, gods or fields, you carry Egypt's heart. As you drift, let the final whisper wrap around you. Sleep well under Egypt's eternal sky, where the gods, the river, and the sands still sing your dreams to life.